Well, good evening. Thank you for joining us. My name is Omodo Tino. This is KTV Primetime News. It is a Tuesday, the 6th day of September, the year 2022. Tonight, we have a lot in store for you and what is happening in the country and, of course, beyond our borders. Now, preparations are underway ahead of the swearing in of the fifth president of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, and his deputy, Rigathi Gachagua, outside Kenya. We have seen today the former Prime Minister of the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson, gave his last address as the incoming Prime Minister, Liz Truss, gave her first address at the Downing Street, house number 10. Just a lot for you tonight, but first, let's take a look at the stories making headlines tonight. Preparations underway ahead of Ruto's swearing in and transfer of power. Supreme Court throws out petition seeking to block Ruto and Gachagua swearing in. Evangelical church leaders urge President-elect William Ruto to unite the country after his swearing. Kenyan girl Diana Chepkemoi returns from Saudi Arabia.
This is KUTV Primetime News with Omondi Otieno.
Welcome to the broadcast, and what alone with the company of Sharon Omboy, who is our sign language interpreter tonight, and we're streaming live this broadcast on our social media platforms on Facebook, KUTV Kenya, Twitter, KUTV_Kenya, on YouTube at KUTV Kenya Live. Now, the swearing in and inauguration ceremony of the President-elect Dr. William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua is scheduled to take place at the Moi International Stadium on Tuesday, the 13th of September, in accordance with the Article 141 of the Constitution, which stipulates that the President-elect is to be sworn in 7 days after the Supreme Court upholds the election victory following an election petition.
In his speech during a press conference held at Harambee House, the head of public service, Joseph Kinyua, said that President Uhuru Kenyatta has promised a smooth transition of power. He also added that the set date for the inauguration will be a gazetted public holiday to allow all Kenyans to participate.
Would like to inform the nation that the swearing-in ceremony and inauguration of the new administration will be held in fidelity with Article 141 of the Constitution, being the first Tuesday following yesterday's decision by the Supreme Court upholding the declaration of the EIBC. That date is Tuesday, 13th September 2022, and the ceremonies shall be held at Moi International Stadium, Kasarani. The date of the swearing-in will be a public holiday of general observance throughout the territory of the Republic of Kenya.
Kinyua also said that the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary will administer the oath of office to the President-elect in the presence of the Lady Justice Martha Koome between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. in accordance with the Constitution, and urged the incumbent government to continue with the good work of nation building.
The President-elect shall take the oath of office as administered by the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary before Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice. As per the law, this must take place any time between the hours 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Thereafter, the President-elect will also be sworn in. The Deputy President-elect will be sworn in.
The swearing-in ceremony comes delayed because of the petition that was filed at the Supreme Court by Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance leader to dispute the results announced by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC), which declared Ruto as the president-elect. The National Treasury has set aside 200 million shillings to be used for the swearing-in ceremony of the president-elect William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua. This comes one day after the Supreme Court upheld his election victory. Stephanie Alice reporting for KUTV.
And the Supreme Court has today, September 6, dismissed the petition by 11 activists seeking to block the swearing-in of William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua due to integrity issues. The judges said that the Apex Court had no authority to address the issue, that the activists should have filed the case at the High Court.
It is once again a win for the president-elect William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua as Supreme Court throws out the petition seeking to block their swearing-in. The petition, filed on 5th August by 11 activists, challenged the suitability of Dr. Ruto and his deputy Gachagua to hold office on the ground that Gachagua had violated Chapter 6 of the Constitution on integrity issues. High Court had ordered Gachagua to forfeit 200 million Kenya shillings after failing to explain how he got the money. The petitioners, led by Kenneth Njagi, Meshak Suba, Jackson Mwalulu and Beatrice Kamau, wanted the Supreme Court to give directions on the suit to ensure the case is heard and determined before Friday, 26th of August 2022. The court said it lacked jurisdiction to hear and determine the case, adding that the petition was filed way before the declaration of the presidential result, and therefore the court cannot handle the matter. The court further ordered the 11 activists to bear the cost of the petition to Ruto, Gachagua, UDA, Chebukati, IEBC, and the Attorney General, who they had sued. The dismissal of this petition just comes a day after the same Apex Court upheld the victory of President-elect William Ruto after finding no evidence to challenge the presidential election. The path to swearing in of Ruto and his deputy Gachagua is now clear as preparation for the 13th September event is ongoing. Patrick Udur, KUTV, Nairobi.
And the United Kingdom's Minister Vicky Ford has congratulated President-elect William Ruto after the ruling by the Supreme Court. And in a statement on Twitter, the minister said that she looks forward to working with Dr. William Ruto in strengthening their strategic partnership. Ford says that Kenya and its leaders can be proud of the example it has set to the world following a calm, peaceful and transparent democratic process. All right, and the 4 dissenting commissioners of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC) have lauded the decision of the Supreme Court upholding the victory of President-elect Dr. William Ruto. In a statement signed by the 4, who include Vice Chairperson Juliana Cherera, Francis Onderi, Justice Nyang'aya, and Irene Masit, in particular, have singled out the ruling on the court decision on the chairperson versus the role of the commissioners in the commission. In an unprecedented move, the 4 dissenting commissioners who have openly disagreed with the IEBC chairman Wafula Chebukati gave the nod to his statement that the commission was vindicated following the court ruling. Away from that, in Nyeri County, clerics have urged the President-elect William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua to embark on uniting the country away from divisive politics after they are sworn into office. This comes after Ruto's win was upheld by the Supreme Court on Monday.
Ladies and gentlemen, we greet you.
Clerics in Nyeri County have on Tuesday, September 6th, urged the President-elect William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua to unite the 47 counties in the country after the presidential results proved a political division in the country. The clerics, led by Bishop Paul Wanjohi of the New Life Church, have termed the duo's win as a big achievement for all communities in the country.
We also want to say this is a great achievement to Kenya, to 47 communities living in Kenya, and the Church of Kenya at large.
The bishop, who was also accompanied by other bishops from the AIPCA Church and the Akorino Church of Kenya, stated that he was confident that Ruto would continue his partnership with the church and that he would lead the country to greater heights. Wanjohi stated that Ruto's win was a win for the church and that the church would continue to support him and his deputy by praying for their continued unity to exercise their mandate. Wanjohi further thanked Kenyans for maintaining peace during and after the elections and for honoring the Supreme Court's decision.
It is an open secret that you have partnered with the church previously, and we are confident that this partnership will continue. We trust that under your great leadership and guidance, you will bring together the country and take it to greater heights and achievement.
The Supreme Court on Monday upheld Dr. William Ruto's win, which was challenged by his opponent Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance leader Raila Odinga, who had filed a petition on August 22nd.
We are here to first and foremost to thank the Almighty God for making it possible to have elections. And then after they were disputed, they went through the legal process, and finally the Apex Court has delivered a ruling to uphold what was announced by the chairman of the IEBC.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Chairman Wafula Chebukati had on August 15th declared William Ruto as the president-elect after he garnered 7.1 million votes against Raila's 6.9 million votes. Zipora Warogoro, KU TV.
Thank you, Zipora Warogoro, for that report. Now, the decision by the President Kenyatta to call MPs elect for the first joint sitting on Thursday at the Parliament buildings as from 9 a.m. now makes Parliament the new battlefront for the fight between Azimio la Umoja One Kenya and the Kenya Kwanza Alliance over the elections of speakers and their deputies, as interested candidates have already applied for their various positions.
Following the Gazette notice by President Uhuru Kenyatta calling for the first joint sitting of the National Assembly and Senate within the 30 days after election as stipulated in Article 126, Section 2 of the Kenyan Constitution, all eyes now switch to Parliament as members of the both houses are expected to be sworn in on Thursday and later elect the speakers and their deputies. Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula and Kalonzo Musyoka of the Azimio have both showed interest for the position of the Speaker of the National Assembly. The Deputy Speaker will also see Dadaab Member of Parliament Farah Maalum of the Azimio, who also served as the Deputy Speaker between 2008 and 2013, go against Uasin Gishu Woman Representative Gladys Sholei of the Kenya Kwanza. In the Senate, Kenya Kwanza has fronted former Mombasa Senator Hassan Omar for the Speaker's position, whereas Azimio is yet to declare its candidate. Persons interested in the positions have until Wednesday 8:30 p.m. to apply for the positions. So far, Azimio has a slim majority in the National Assembly, with 168 members against Kenya Kwanza's 158, without the 12 nominated ones who are yet to be gazetted. In the Senate, Kenya Kwanza has 24 senators while Azimio has 22, and there is one independent senator. However, the Kenya Kwanza coalition has since bagged members from the Pamoja African Alliance, United Democratic Movement, MDG, and Maendeleo Chap Chap, thus increasing the numbers in the National Assembly. Reporting for KUTV, I am Eugene Mayabi.
On my chronometer, it's 15 minutes past the top of the hour. It's time to take our first break here on KTV Prime Time News. The moment shall we come back with the discussion of the night. Stay with us.
Driving and riding without incidences on the road is such an amazing experience. But do you know while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause. Speeding, lane indiscipline, drunk driving, distracted driving, failure to wear a helmet, and failure to use available pedestrian ways have been flagged by NTSA as the fatal 6 behaviors likely to lead to a fatal crash and serious injuries. As part of the Usalama Barabarani campaign, we request all road users to prevent these fatal 6 behaviors for their own safety and that of others. When driving, ensure your speed is within the stipulated limits. The road ahead is clear before overtaking. Stick to your lane. Keep left unless carefully overtaking. You're well rested if driving on long distances, and you never drink and drive. Usalama Barabarani starts with you. Fika Salama. This message is brought to you by the National Transport and Safety Authority and the European Union.
Today I'm going to talk to one Mr. Derek Ngige, the CEO and founder of Fina Consultancy, bringing you Shamba Assistant.
We discovered what was going wrong is no one could assist the farmer. No one actually could hold the farmer's hand through the journey. So it uses just a normal charger, and also it can be charged via solar also. You can also now collect the exact points using the GPS on board, where you're able to see the longitude and latitude of where you actually collected the soil sample, so that when you are doing advising, you can know which part of the farm, the exact part of the farm where that data was collected.
Ukiwa na dukuduku la michezo, tunafungua sanduku la dukuduku kwa ufahamu zaidi. Kila danadana, mitimko, mifiatuko na harakati zote ugani, sisi ni wako mwandani. Kukurukakara zote nyanjani, haziwezi kuangaziwa zaidi ya micharazo michezoni. Mimi mwanaspoti wako matata Peter Pinches Mwaora, ndakuwa na jopo lenye maarifa sufufu, nikufahamishe na nikuburudishe wewe shabiki shakiki, kwa uhakiki na kindakindaki.
Vegetables or ratatouille. Then we had sausages and bacon served together with passion juice and tea, which we've not prepared, and also fruit cuts, which we have melon and pineapple. So you can see the plating, how it's being done. So we have our pancakes here together with strawberry. We have our mixed vegetables with ketchup sauce. We have our bacon and we have our sausages.
Tuesday tunakula usiku. Tuachane na break kwanza, tuende lunch. Chapo. Yoyo. Kama ndimo.
Rasha piga shada kuna giza sikinai tujinai siweke story kata maji pia shada liko nasio nikosa msuko si stress kama rende kisha basi nipe
Kiwa mama big up brother ukiwa adriva big up sis big up shows mama big up oya wase wote okay my principal big up
KUTV, in conjunction with Kenyatta University Funeral Home, is now offering death announcements immediately following our news bulletins at 7 p.m. At this sorrowful time, as you share in your grief, allow us to communicate your announcement of your loved one on KUTV in both Kiswahili and English. For more details, kindly inquire at the KU Funeral Home Service Desk or call 0736 928 380 or dial 020 359 9054.
Driving and riding without incidences on the road is such an amazing experience. But do you know while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause. Speeding, lane indiscipline, drunk driving, distracted driving, failure to wear a helmet, and failure to use available pedestrian ways have been flagged by NTSA as the fatal 6 behaviors likely to lead to a fatal crash and serious injuries. As part of the Usalama Barabarani campaign, we request all road users to prevent these fatal 6 behaviors for their own safety and that of others. When driving, ensure your speed is within the stipulated limits. The road ahead is clear before overtaking. Stick to your lane. Keep left unless carefully overtaking. You're well rested if driving on long distances, and you never drink and drive. Usalama Barabarani starts with you. Fika Salama. This message is brought to you by the National Transport and Safety Authority and the European Union.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Omondi Otieno.
Right, welcome back and thank you for staying with us on KUTV Primetime News. If you're just joining us, you're streaming live our broadcast on our social media platforms, KUTV Kenya. Now, the interview of the night, the dawn of the Doyen. The Supreme Court of Kenya upheld Dr. William Ruto's victory in the August 9th polls, and this cleared the path for his swearing in as the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya. Dr. William Ruto made history for outwitting an entire government machinery which stood on his path to victory. He also made history for being the first presidential candidate in Kenya's history to win on the first try. And in this deed is this is indeed what is called the dawn of the Doyen. What nature of government and leadership therefore are we getting into? It is the discussion of the night, and joining me is Seth Wasike, a youth and a political analyst. Thank you so much, Seth Wasike, for dedicating your time for this discussion. All right, maybe just get the ball rolling. Seth Wasike, we are seeing a president-elect, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, of course, who shall be sworn in as the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya, making history, challenging the government machinery, and of course, becoming the first president to make it to the presidency in his first attempt. What do you make of this history the new dawn is rewriting in the Kenyan political space?
Wow, it's indeed a history that has been made. It has never happened. From time in history, all the presidents have once been in opposition. But for Ruto, it has been a great history that has been made. Mm-hmm. We would attribute this probably to what we say, si uchawi ni maombi. Mm-hmm. We have seen a prayerful man in Ruto. Mm-hmm. And we have seen a prayerful woman in Rachel. We too have seen a prayerful lady in Dorcas. Mm-hmm. That is the deputy president's elect wife.
All right.
So we would attribute this to the godly mm-hmm. works mm-hmm. in their lives. Yes.
All right. Maybe just to probably get a different line of thought on the prayerful line that you say this could be attributed to the the prayerful nature of the president, and of course in the deputy president Rigathi Gachagua we are seeing it in the wife Dorcas. Now, if being prayerful warrants victory, we saw what happened in the Nairobi senatorial race. We have the Sifuna clinching the senatorial race, and we had, of course, the other top contender, Bishop Margaret Wanjiru. So what do you make of this?
Perhaps we would say the same Bible that talks of prayer
mm-hmm.
has still put that prayer is accompanied with action. We too have seen the great mind. We too have seen a great mind. We too have seen a very sharp strategy. We have seen clear and well planned campaigns that have happened in Kenya Kwanza. So as much as we attribute their success to the God they serve, we too attribute their success to the hard work they put. We have seen them try. We have seen them go around the country. We have seen them campaign, even in times of tribulations, in times when they were facing it rough. We have seen them handling it with a lot of vigor and power. We would attribute that to hard work also.
All right, now in the hard work during the campaigns, one thing that was coming out clearly in Dr. William Ruto's campaign, of course together with his deputy Rigathi Gachagua, was that they want to bring a downfall to the tyrants in the Kenyan political space. You know, they're saying therefore the founding fathers that rather someone can become a president without having had, a big political father figure. And that was the politics that probably won the hearts of many hoi polloi in Kenya. So is it really true to the sentiments that the deputy president was selling this agenda to the Kenyan citizens that a son of nobody can become somebody in this country?
Yes, actually, Daktari has proved that truly a son of nobody can become somebody in this country. From history, we have seen a son of somebody becoming somebody in the country. But now it has been proved that, yes, it's possible. A chicken seller can rule this country. A Dio, as people say, can rule this country. And not just a president's son. The one we refer to as dynasties that can only rule this country. It has also broken a chain. It has broken a chain. I think it is also history on its own that from nowhere, from a chicken seller, from a mere hustler, from a mere businessman, now Dr. Ruto is ruling the country as a president.
All right, maybe what people are not, you also not bring it out clearly. From a chicken seller to becoming a president in the Republic of Kenya. You know, there is a big time frame between the period when Dr. William Ruto was a chicken seller, because Ruto got himself into politics when the second president of the Republic of Kenya, that is Moi, was in power. So during the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s to 2010, until we have this new, the new century. So is it really right for Ruto to brand himself as a mere chicken seller when indeed he has been a member of parliament, he has been a deputy president? And now going to the ground and telling Kenyans now, I'm just a son of nobody, I'm someone who's just selling chicken by the roadside. Does it really bring out the hustling aspect of it?
It brings it out clearly. In everything, in every successful event, there is a story behind it.
Right.
In every successful event, there is a process that has been followed. So this was just a process. From the time, from the YK 92 period to this time, it's a process. And so we have achieved the final result. And the fact that we have achieved the final result and the fact that the process began long ago doesn't dispute the fact that this guy was a chicken seller. Doesn't dispute the fact that this guy is a son of nobody. Yeah, and it doesn't dispute the fact that this country has always been ruled by sons of people, sons of big people, to say. Yes.
But don't you think probably it will now be so rightful to say that just to reshape how the DP, rather the president-elect, brands himself from, instead of saying it's just a mere chicken seller, say that a chicken seller who became an MP, who became the second in command, now becoming, at the forefront, being the president.
No, you know.
He also served, you know, my director is also
Yes.
telling me interesting that he also served as a minister in the country. So, you know, these are big roles in government.
Yes, he served as a minister, he served as an MP, all those. But you see, our main focus is on the big thing. We forget the other small things. Yeah, we now focus on the big thing. Right now we are on the presidency. We will forget the MP part, the minister part, and every other
On
thing.
that note, I think the first thing that we should have been forgotten was the aspect of selling chicken.
No, we can't forget that, because now that is the background of everything. You know, we can forget the processes in between, but we can never forget the first event and the last event. Those are the most important, the beginning and the end. But everything here, the middle,
but
that's just a new process.
All right. Interestingly, how you bring it out, and don't you think probably this was an agenda that was aimed at selling some bit of, rather, how do we call this? How do I really frame this to come out of some sort of a sympathy? Because you're not telling us that you are a minister. You're not telling us that you are you are a member of parliament. You're not telling us that you are the second in command. Yeah? No. You made the sympathy vote, something of that kind, because we also saw it, of course, coming out into play clearly when the governor race in Nairobi. Of course, we had Sakaja and Igade. You know how the Kenya Kwanza team were describing Igade, that is a Cerelac baby. It's a project. It's a project, and just coming from Equity, holding a big position in Equity, to come and fight this race with the hustlers. Don't you think this was just seeking the sympathy vote from the electorates?
No, it's not seeking sympathy. It's being factual. You know, despite the fact that Ruto has been a member of parliament, despite the fact that Ruto has been a minister, it doesn't dispute that he faced the life some of us face. It is true. But then in politics, you have to find what will give you popularity. You have to find something that will capture the attention of the electorate. So that is what Ruto found it wise, and that is what he found it as a capturing statement or a capturing story that will capture the attention of the electorate.
Interestingly, you've used a vocabulary that will also form a basis of our discussion, of course, capturing. So we'll talk about the state capture. Interesting. Now, this is getting interesting. So we have seen the antagonism that has been there between the president, the president, of course, Uhuru Kenyatta, and his deputy, Dr. William Ruto. And during the campaign period, we saw how everything was coming into play, the fallout after the 2018 handshake. So they've not really been into the best terms, because even after the Supreme Court, of course, upholding his victory, said that they've not talked with his boss for a very long time, but he will probably give him a call asking about the handover of power. So that is what we are expecting next week during the swearing in of Deputy President Dr. William Ruto and his the President-elect Dr. William Ruto and his Deputy Rigathi Gachagua. So how do you foresee this transition? In as much as they have been having bitter terms, they have been into bitter terms with his boss. Is it going to be smooth as anticipated?
I think, to my opinion, I expect it to be smooth. I foresee a smooth transition. I think at this point, the sitting president and the outgoing president, Uhuru Kenyatta, has seen and we can say has realized the kind of person he is dealing with. And this was somebody to joke around with. You remember we saw it during the BBI thing, and now it's during the presidential elections. It was so obvious that the outgoing president was supporting the former prime minister. That it came out clearly that his deputy president, with whom there was a fallout between them, emerged the winner. So I think Uhuru at this point has realized the kind of person he is dealing with. And this forces him to abide by the law and to do what is right. Perhaps it's forcing him to please now the current president, because in politics we will talk of, in quotes, we will talk of protection. You would need some power at the top. Having been the president, you would need to be friends. You need some, you need something. You need some favors from the president. So, in whichever way, he has to find his way to win back the friendship. And so, by peaceful transitioning, he will somehow. We'll win back.
You know, probably where people were expecting that probably the president, the sitting president, Uhuru Kenyatta, will come out and congratulate, of course, William Ruto as the president-elect, was in the speech that he was making yesterday. He didn't mention categorically the president-elect, Dr. William Ruto, congratulating him, but just saying congratulations, of course, to those who won. What do you make of this statement? Do you think probably is not probably so interested in the victory of a person that he did endorse in this presidential race?
But I don't think, Ken, you'll be interested. I don't think you'll be happy if your enemy won over you. It's disappointing. It's painful. It's bitter. In fact, I watched the president speak and I saw some bitterness in him. It's not easy. We would say perhaps he did it because the law demands so, or perhaps because it's a procedural thing to be done. So he just had to address the country. But it was all over. The president was so bitter. Having lost, it was painful. Tunamwambia pole.
All right. But anyway, because I mean, the 2022 general elections has rewrote history. It's not the history that we've known for quite some time. It's not history that we've known for a very long time. Raila Odinga, in his fight for presidency, for the 5 times he has given a stab to the presidency, for the 4 times, the previous 4 times he made a stab at the presidency, he was doing this without the support of the sitting government. But we are seeing this time, the 2022 elections, he had the state machinery, how the opponents, of course, would call it the state machinery. And this probably would mean that he had a lot of support from the sitting government. Do you think this is anything to go by in the upcoming elections, probably the 2027 general elections and the 2032 elections? Do we see probably people flexing their muscles at the presidency, that giving them hope that you can still win the presidency even if you don't get support of the sitting presidency and the state machinery?
Yes, actually now the chain, as I have said earlier, the chain has been broken. And now we are sure that one day Seth Wasike can become the president of this country. It has proved to these people, it's been approved to these people, that you don't need state machinery, you don't need the deep state, you don't need the system, you don't need anything in government for you to become the president. What you need is the people, because votes is what matter. In fact, now with the current technology that is being used by IEBC, then the state will never help you win. It is only the people who can help you win.
You will win at the ballot. Everything starts at
the ballot.
And
that is Form
34A. Yes. All right. Interesting. Now, probably, Wasike, we saw the landmark ruling that was made by the Supreme Court, the apex court in the land, that dismissed the petition of the petitioner Raila Odinga and Martha Karua, who was running mate in the 2022 presidential race. A lot of issues emerged, in as much as, yes, the case was before the 7-judge bench of the Supreme Court, but they said they dismissed the petition because the petitioner did not have a burden of proof that there were electoral malpractices that could warrant nullification of the presidential election. If you watched the submission of the petitioner in this case, you watched the rejoinder of how the legal team was strongly defending that there were a lot of electoral malpractices in these general elections. But what we saw was the court dismissing the petition upholding the win of Dr. William Ruto. So on this note, because you say that the technology that has been deployed by the Electoral Commission will make it tough for anyone to allegedly steal an election, steal his way into victory. So based on the submissions that were made by the petitioner, they rejoined, are you strongly convicted that the elections was free, fair and credible, and we should always see a repeat of how everything came into play in this election?
I'm fully convicted. I would say I'm fully convicted that the elections were free, fair, credible and verifiable. You know, we saw a battery of judges, a battery of lawyers at the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Leading the petitioner side. That was led by his what do we call them?
Senior Counsel James Orengo. Okay.
I would refer to them as flower girls who are not ready to get married. You know, flower girls who are just ready to dance.
Okay.
But they are not prepared to get married. You know, it was so obvious. You know, you can't convince me. There are photo I took at the polling station, transmitted it online through the IBC portal to the tallying center, and another one came physically by road from the polling station to the tallying center. Then you want to convince me that somebody along the way changed these results. You know, how can it be changed? You know, I wonder how these lawyers took this petition and argued with it. I got happy when the CJ referred to it as hot air that has nothing. I would say that was pure nonsense. They wasted a lot of time. We wasted our time. We didn't go to work. Some of us did go to work. Some of us did do businesses because we were watching that thing. Only for us to watch something that has no weight. It was a disappointment. We would say we expected something. We expected something that has weight. Unfortunately, we got balloons.
All right. In a defense of the Senior Counsel James Orengo, he said that the ruling that was made by the 7th Judge Bench of the Supreme Court, it was ideological. They didn't give it the deep scrutiny that it deserved. You know, in the allegations that were being made by the petitioner's side, saying that maybe let us not go into what we saw coming into play at the Supreme Court. Earlier on, we used to see pictures, videos of, you know, people being caught, cars being caught, having, you know, election materials. I don't know whether you saw anything of that sort online.
Yes.
Election materials. I mean, a car being caught by the roadside was having election material prior to the elections, and you are seeing even after the elections, after the polling sessions have been closed, some people are caught with marked ballot papers, you know, at not places where they're designated to be. So, because we saw these things, I mean, these are things that were all over the news, they were all over the social media, because we have, of course, freedom, the press freedom in this country. So, with all these things that we saw, are you still convicted, really, that the elections was free, fair, and credible? There are not any forms or any bit of electoral practices?
You know, Ken, what I'll tell you is that the Azimio group, so to say, are well versed with spreading propaganda on social media. You see, you had when tallying was done, they were all saying Raila is now at 60. What we are only waiting for is official declaration. After that, they were all saying when Chebukati was almost announcing the results, we saw them shouting online, Raila is about to make, you know, an entrance at Bomas. You know, Raila is and all those and so many things. So we realize not all these things we see on social media are actually happening. Some of these things are just are there to fake our minds. They're there to convert our minds. They're there to make us believe that actually Raila lost unfairly. But in real sense, Raila lost fairly. If indeed those things were present, why didn't they petition them in court? Why didn't they produce them as evidence in the court? Perhaps it could have given them some win. It's so unfortunate that they scored 0 out of 9.
Right. You are saying it so bitterly, and we have a very big audience, of course, who supports that other side of the politics. Anyway, but away from that, Wasike, we have, for the interest of time, my dear, is telling me we have about 5 minutes. So saying that we have a government that is coming into play, the government that really branded itself, clearly to the electorate, saying that we are going to give it a bottom-up approach where the majority who are at the bottom will rise to the top.
Yes.
Making a lot of promises of Mama Mboga, this is how we're going to support you, this is how we're going to support the border, this is how we're going to support the small and medium enterprise traders. So a lot of promises were made by the Kenya Kwanza team during the campaigns. Are we still hopeful that these were not just politics, but things that will come into play, and when we audit the promises that were made during for the first 100 days in office, there are things that we'll be able to mark them, tick every box?
I would say I have had the opportunity to have Dr. William Ruto as my member of parliament.
Okay.
One thing I know about this man is that what he says, he will do it.
All right.
So we don't have to put a lot of words, we don't have to put a lot of things on it. But I'll tell the people of Kenya, wait and see. Time will tell. Time will tell. We will surely appreciate the fact that we elected this guy. When we insert resources at the bottom, then the possibility and I would say the probability of people at the bottom, the Mama Mbogas and Boda rising up and now becoming rich men and controlling the resources in the country will be very easy. The probability will be very high. But when we insert resources at the top, then the poor will continue being poor. They will continue serving the rich.
One thing that was coming out, so strongly in tax, of course, the politics of Kenya, I will be saying bad things about my opponent, and the bad things that were being said about the Kenya Kwanza team is graft. There were people with a lot of smears of corruption smeared on them. So the fight on corruption, because this is one thorn that is deeply into the flesh of this country. I feel convicted really that the fight against corruption will be one of its kind and successfully fought by this president, by this government that is coming into play.
With the proposals they have had, with all the ideas they have had, I'm quite optimistic that we will fight corruption. The problem with this country is that all along we've been fighting people. We haven't been fighting corruption. It's in the last 4 or 5 years. Anytime somebody stood up and said, and came out clearly that he is against the president or he is against BBI, then corruption allegations will be put against him. So in the current government, in the incoming government, I believe with the ideas they have and with the manifesto they had, then we will fight corruption to the end. We will fight it. We will not fight people, but we will fight corruption.
All right.
Yes.
My director, that's it. He's telling me we need to probably just hold on to the thoughts that you're having because a lot is still coming. We still have a lot of interviews. We still have a lot to talk about in politics ahead of the swearing in of the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, and his deputy, Rigathi Gachagua. So thank you so much, Wasike, for coming for this discussion. We shall be having more of this, of course, in due course. Alright, moving on, Machakos County Governor Wavinya Ndeti has issued a stern warning to those involved in illegal sale of county drugs from the public hospitals to private entities. Wavinya was speaking during the inspection and stock taking of various government facilities in Machakos, as Joseph Oyomo now reports.
Percent is not here.
In a bid to streamline service delivery in her government, Machakos County Governor Wavinya Ndeti earlier today cautioned those involved in malpractices of snatching county drugs from the public and illegally selling them in private entities.
Which government government allows, even the national government, NTSA is part of national government. They cannot allow you to move without number plate.
The tough-talking governors who are to deal with such victims accordingly, insisting that service delivery is key to Machakos residents.
It is not going to be business as usual. We have to do things differently. You are being paid, isn't it?
She revealed that the county had received the first batch of drugs from KEMSA, with a second consignment expected later on in the week. At the same time, Wavinya led her team in stock-taking of all the county government motor vehicle inventory, where she was forced to order forensic audit of the transport sector after shockingly finding many missing and idle vehicles, with others lacking registration numbers. Wavinya is one of the governors who have pledged allegiance with KEMSA, a state corporation mandated to procure, warehouse and distribute medical commodities to public health facilities.
Yule atashikwa kama anauza dawa za hospitali nje ama chemist inauza dawa za hospitali. I'm sending a very strong message to you. I will make sure through the right channels hiyo chemist yako imefungwa.
In the previous month of August, Elgeyo Marakwet Governor Wesley Rotich placed a Kenya shilling 74 million health commodities order with KEMSA, pledging to support its effort. In the previous month of August, Elgeyo Marakwet Governor Wesley Rotich placed a 74 million Kenya shillings health commodities order with KEMSA, pledging to support its effort. Joseph Oyomo, KUTV. Thank you, Young. Away from that, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has inspected the ongoing construction of CBC classroom at Karen C. Girls Secondary School in Lang'ata, Nairobi School. Now, the CS engaged the contractor who promised to complete the construction in 2 weeks' time. In addition, Magoha says that 50% of the counties are at 100% in the construction of CBC classrooms, and government is targeting to finish the planned phase by Saturday this week.
As a government that is outgoing, we have a target that we have to meet. One of them is to ensure that the 10,000 classrooms are built. As you are aware, there are always issues in the cities. Apart from Kisumu and Eldoret, which have done extremely well, Nairobi and Mombasa are perennial and chronic with this type of activities. Therefore, we are still pushing. I think this is the last building in Nairobi. I've been told so many stories, but the point is that it has to be completed within 2 weeks, as the contractor has said. Generally, we have done very well. Over 50% of the counties now have completed at 100%, which means we are continuing to deliver. Globally, we have about 4% to go, which means if we are to work seamlessly until Saturday this week, we should be able to deliver what is required.
8 groups in Benue, Nigeria are calling on the government to address the child marriages rates, which have continued to prove to be a great hindrance to achieving education for young girls following the growth of populations of illiterate teenage girls. Timothy Obezo now reports.
Serving meals and cleaning. These are some of the new responsibilities for 14-year-old Dorsey Merga, the youngest wife in this clan in central Benue State. She moved in with her then 17-year-old husband in December and is now 5 months pregnant. Her husband's family says the marriage was consensual and that the older women in the family are helping her adapt. But as a married girl, Merga cannot use a scholarship to attend school for free.
I'm actually not happy because I don't know what to do. My husband has agreed that I can go back to school, but with conditions that I go from here as his wife.
Merga and other girls in the community received a scholarship from a non-profit started by Nigerian crypto investor Janet Katio. Katio started the non-profit in memory of her late father, who promoted education for girls in the village. Katio was shocked to learn that Merga had married and had not been to school for months.
My case is a lost battle. It's so unfortunate.
Katya says child marriage is a key concern and why her non-profit is focused on educating the girls.
Most of the age parents are not educated. So once a girl gets to a certain age, they feel this child should be married, and also not just married, so that they can also get something to feed on that girl child. People, even when we were growing and when my father was training us, people were like, what the heck are you doing? These girls are already ripe for marriage.
UNICEF says Nigeria has the second highest number of children married before the age of 18, behind India. Officials say illiteracy, poverty, and local traditions are the major factors driving child marriage in the country. Nigerian authorities and UNICEF recently conducted a survey. The survey found that between 2016 and last year, child marriage declined by nearly a third, from 44% of all children to 30%. But UNICEF Country Director Peter Hawkins says because Nigeria has a growing population, the total number of married children continues to rise.
The population is so enormous that a percentage increase, or reduction in the case of child marriage, is a good thing. But the number of girls coming into that category has increased exponentially. So the national figure disguises regional disparities.
UNICEF says unless the trend changes, some 29 million Nigerian girls will be child brides by the year 2050. Katio and her team will continue trying to discourage child marriage in Nigeria, despite knowing that some girls, like Merga, remain bound by tradition and economic hardship. Timothy Obiezu for VOA News, Benue State, Nigeria.
Diana Chepkemoi, the 24-year-old student from Meru University who was stranded in Saudi Arabia, finally jet back to Kenya today, Tuesday, 6th of September. Chepkemoi was allegedly being mistreated by her employers in the Arabian state. She was received at JKA today by her mother Clara Cheprotich, Kinnon MP Brighton Yegon, other leaders, relatives and friends. Shortly after she arrived, she narrated her ordeal, saying that her troubles began on the first day in that Gulf country. She said that she told her travel agent, who in turn ignored her woes. Chepkemoi called on the government to intervene and rescue migrant workers suffering, saying that it was only by luck that she was rescued. Let's call it a wrap here today on KUTV Primetime News. Many thanks indeed for your valid company throughout the bulletin. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been Sharon Momboy. My name is Ondi Otieno, and in the words of Boris Johnson, the outgoing Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, he says that my policy on cake is pro-having it and pro-eating it. Shall we be meeting tomorrow? Rather, next week. Have a great night.